Soul Journey of Light, social media.
This is an awakening.
Snap out of it! Thought-provoking, challenging the popular perspectives, critical of today's opinions. We go all the way in deep. What's a thought's worth if thoughts must conform to ill-conceived theories and so-called orthodox beliefs, twisted opinions of hypocrisy? How do we reach new heights? Ascend to higher realizations, activate the powers of abstract reasoning? We must break the chains that hold us down from celestial flights. Face what you think you know with what you have yet to know. For the moment, never mind how you believe things ought to be. We must revolutionize our minds for there to be a clear way to unify. For that to happen, we must have a seat at the table all over again. Just making sure the light works. Unlock the keys of scrutiny. Revive what it means to pursue knowledge. Manifest the God in we, you and me. Welcome to your wake-up call. Soul Journey of Life. Conscious Black social media. The light dome.
In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. This is your brother Abdul Wadud, aka Questman, coming at you once more. Soul Journey of Life, Conscious Black social media. Begin with, I'd like to welcome, and I do that not only as a formality, but also to make sure you can hear me well. And it's a standard greeting for me to say, Assalamu alaikum, shalom, peace and blessings be with you. Hotep, nothing but love from your brother, Abdul Wadud, aka Questman. And with that said, as you can see, the nature of tonight's live, the title, The Making of False Gods. This particular part, the perspective of Black man and woman of today's versus the ancestors. So, give me a second here and bear with me because this is going to be a big deal here. I'd encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm looking here because I want this to be bigger. So give me a second here. Shalom, peace and blessings, sister Leslie. Let's see, I want this to be bigger, right? Nope, not that. There we go. Let's just do this. There we go. All right. There's always a way if you just, pay attention to the details. So, before I begin this particular live, I want to present something to the family. And this is, more or less an appreciation, and especially for those who are with us at the beginning of this live. And this is going to be something that you might find of a benefit, perhaps. So, uh, this right here is it's a coupon. That's what it is, and this is a coupon um, for the shops on Soul Journey of Life. And as you can see, it's a coupon for 15% off your next purchase of $50 or more. And right there is the code that'll help you, get the benefits of that coupon. So if I were you, I'd copy that code down and use it at your earliest convenience on the shops at souljourneyoflife.org/the shops. Or you could just go to souljourneyoflife.org and click the button that says shops on the left panel, and it'll take you right there. Once you get there and you make your selections of what you want to buy, make sure you enter that code when prompted to do so. So, um, mm, yeah, so with that said, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm only going to show that this one time in this whole entire live, so it'll be a benefit for those who began the show with us. Pardon me as I take a sip of this hot chocolate. hmm Yep, that's hot chocolate. So I want to get into this. Shalom, peace and blessings, family. Um, and I would encourage you that if you do have handy, you're probably going to want to take some notes. You're probably going to need some pen and paper as I go into this, because this is going to kind of it has the potential. Well, the main part of that coupon, and I could send it to you, sister. On your messenger or whatnot. All just ask me about it. I'll send you the coupon in your messenger, and you'll be able to see, enlarge or whatever. Um, in fact, I think you know what, I'm gonna show it one more time because I want it to be visible. So I can enlarge it right here, but I'll send it. If it's still too small with the digital screen and everything. I don't know. Uh, just ask me about it in the message. And but this is that coupon once more again, as you can see, as an appreciation for watching this show, The Black We Speak. You can use this coupon for 15% off towards your next purchase of $50 or more at the shops. That's Soul Journey of Life. Limited one use per person. Cannot be exchanged for value, cannot be applied to items on sale, and expires the 30th of this month. Okay, So with that said, we got that out of the way, or in the way, whichever way you want to look at it. Um, hmm All right. So, yeah, you're probably going to want pen and whatnot for this particular one. Uh, I intend to go in as I got one of the things I don't like about new shirts. When you get new shirts, they've always got something, a tag, one of them little plastic uh, things that you have to take out, poking me somewhere, and that annoys me. Anyway, this particular live, I feel and see that is something that I think that's very important for us to be able to build on in today's time, the making of false gods. We have our senses: sight, sounds, smell, touch, all these essential to, basically how we operate in society. You understand? Um, it's kind of what you can say is a standard of human living, as well as other life forms on the planet Earth: sight, sounds, smells, and touch. But there's something different when it comes to the melanated black man, black woman. And that's something that I would like us to explore. Before I do that, let me go ahead and display this this is a disclaimer right here, and I just want to do that so that way I can carry on in fair use with any images or footage that I present. So in this particular presentation, I wish to share with those who say they are people of the scripture, and those who are spiritual, and those who are, perhaps deep pursuers of knowledge. I'm going to try to give you a bit of an overview first through this. As I mentioned, sights, sounds, smell, touch. The short version of this particular presentation is, if anything, something that I believe that we need to take heed to, as if our lives depended on it, because it does. Your enemy is creating a false god, and many of us are unwittingly bowing to it without even realizing it. False god. And I know that I say that it just kind of rolls right off of the tongue. Through the parts of these series of this episode, I intend to cover with you um, the following. It may not be limited to this, because, as I mentioned, this is a very I've learned that this is a very extensive subject matter, and it really has so many elements. And I'm trying to my intention is to cover the essence of as much as I can, while keeping the attention and keeping um, consideration of time, um, and what have you. But the primary topic is false gods. And why is this such a big deal? Next, or the second, will be, what does it mean to be who we are? Where did we go wrong, or did we go wrong? Again, these are elements of the essence of this presentation. And this presentation is not going to be something that fits in one live. In fact, I intend to, um, if at all possible, and this is always a challenge for me at least, to put this within the time frame, with a specific time frame. That way we can allow an opportunity for conversation, questions, and things like that. And by the way, by the way, let me show you something here, especially if you've got an account of Soul Journey of Life anyway. Let me show you something here. I'm going to put this in the link. in the chat, because if you were on souljourneyoflife.org/live right now, you'd be able to also see this live. So I'm just going to let you know that you'd be able to watch this live right on the platform. So if you dig supporting Black-owned businesses, the sole sponsor right now of this particular live is Soul Journey of Life, the Conscious Black social media. And by the way, I'm going to put the word out there and you can spread the word. Soul Journey of Life, the Conscious Black social media, is looking for supporters, for more supporters and sponsors. People who may be business owners, and the like, who might be interested in, you know, working with, maybe they have some advertisements or whatnot, and that would help sponsor the platform. So if you've got any connections or know who's, um, spread that message if you don't mind. Number three, what has happened to us? These are, I'm going through the questions that are in essence what I'm hoping to cover. Number four, what have we lost? How did how did we once see the world? Speaking in terms of our ancestors. How are we understanding the world now? What about the great mess of madness this language has placed upon us? Abstract reasoning? What about God? Evil by nature versus acquired evil? The fight between the left and the right mind, and how to balance. The reasons why they felt the need to explore and discover. We're talking about the Caucasian man. Restoring our way of pursuing knowledge, thus bringing about an equilibrium. Why do they think everyone should be like them? And that part again is referring to the behavior of the Caucasian. And then, of course, we're going to be dealing with, in general, false gods, particularly AI. AI, it will be proven through the course of this conversation, through the course of this presentation, is the false god that has been foretold. And all that's associated with it, all that's related with it, and all that's connected with it. We're going to deal with the the idea that's going out that the AI, machinery or robotics or whatnot are sentient beings. We're going to also deal with why do they need these false gods in the first place, or why are they finding it necessary to use them, and how many how are many worshiping these false gods and their creator, how they're doing it, the method I'm talking about. What are the methods that they are worshiping these false gods and their creators, their false gods and their creators, or their assemblers, I should say. So that's kind of the quick, or the nutshell. And like I said, more or less, that's the essence of what we would hope to cover during these parts. Um, and like I said, this isn't going to be an easy task. It may not be easy to break it down, and it might be challenging to understand. The context of what I'm presenting. And as I mentioned, I intend to have at the end of this live an opportunity for comments, questions, answers, things like that. So let's see here. So I want to give you an example. Give you this example right here. What you see is a Disney character, I believe it's a Disney character called Wally. That's the name of this robot. Now, this is supposed to be a, a children's film, a children's movie. And the question I might ask you is what what first comes to your mind when you see this image? When you see this image, what are the first thoughts that come to your mind? And now keep in mind, with the addition of knowing, yeah, we're adults here. Most of us, I imagine the viewer, all the viewers watching right now, we're all adults versus being a child. Either way, what if I told you that perhaps unwittingly that we that many of us, when we see an image like this, we unwittingly have succumbed to whatever this image is intended to depict, whatever uh, theme or concept or value or principle or manifestation that this image is intended to depict, we've succumbed to that. And it may not have, even, been your first thought, but don't you even care about how Wally feels? I mean, in the movie, he saves the planet. He strove hard, saving a planet from being killed in the movie. Isn't that a fantastic achievement? Oh, wait a second here. But robots don't have feelings, right? Robots don't have feelings, and robots can't intend to do anything, right? And yet, your minds may be able to deal with that and work that out. Not so in the case of many children who are watching the same, who take it as they see it. But even as an adult, yes, you can say, brother, I know it's fake, but yet you still continue. And behind your mental scene, that is exactly how programming works. That's exactly how the program works. Once you've gotten past the I know it's fake and still are observing the visuals part, that's when the programming is able to successfully, quote unquote, download, so to speak, and spread its effect. Sights and sounds. hmm You said what now? Are you able to see that image? Let me see here. I'm gonna go to this YouTube here, because when I go to YouTube, I can kind of see what you see. hmm Sights and sounds, and this is just a glance. And really, we haven't even scratched the surface of this subject matter yet with just this robot. Family, I believe it's important that we need to really take a consideration at how heavily misguided that we many of us have become, that will readily believe that what comes from our way of thought or our natural instincts, our inspiration, our manners. Let me say it this way. We've replaced, or we've been compelled, if you will, to replace our natural instincts, our our way of seeing the world. You understand? Our manners with involving ourselves in this world. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Our ways with dealing with the divine. We've been led to believe that all of this is wicked and evil, false, backwards, outdated, and so on. And while we may claim that we are not doing this, the evidence is in our day-to-day ways that speak out against us. So even those even as we're starting to gradually embrace um what it means to be melanated again and what it means to try to tap back into our ancestors, there's still a boatload of all of this that we are still doing even to this day when it comes to adhering to our nature and really tapping back into who we are, who we really are. Um, keep keep in mind, you might just take in consideration, like I said, our nature, our natural instincts. I'm talking about our natural inspirations, our manner of communing with the divine, our way of thought. You gotta understand when I'm saying our, I'm not talking about anybody else but the melanated people, the so-called black man and black woman. You understand? The descendants of the ancients, the descendants of those who were here. We're their children. And this, notwithstanding other people's claims and sayings, cannot be attributed to anybody else on the planet Earth. Otherwise, they would be melanated too. And that's a fact. Everything that walks upright does not have the same ancestry. That's also a fact. We have learned, and it is clear to those who reflect, the devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. And when I'm saying devil, let me remind you, I'm not talking about some spook hiding behind a bush or in the shadow. Maybe, you know, somebody might want to hide, but I'm not talking about a spook. I'm talking about a living, breathing flesh person, peoples. That's what I'm talking about when I say the word devils. I can also use the word devilish. And when I'm using that word, I'm meaning anything associated with the devils. It could be you if you decide to associate with the workings and mannerisms and mechanisms of the devils. Then you become one of their Klingons, for lack of better words. The devil's a liar, a manipulator, and perhaps to the dismay of some, the manifestation of the devils is no longer a mystery. Many of us is plain to see. Maybe many is a big word for that, but there are those of us who have become hip to the devil's shenanigans. Many of us grew up as children being taught that the devil was some sort of invisible spook or imaginative part of your thinking. Some of us, a significant part of us, all across the world, even perceive the devil to be some kind of us. We actually believe that the devil was us, that anything that came from us must be wicked. Right now, in the motherland, there are people who believe that to tap into their customary ways is a backward way, and to don blonde wigs, to dye or bleach their skin, to the color of a piece of paper, that these are the proper ways, that these are the ways you should be doing to straighten your hair with poisons, that these are the proper ways that you should be doing, that this is right, and that the naps are just wrong, that the blackness, the melanatedness, and I would prefer to say the bronzeness is all wrong. This is the mentality we have. And even in our attempt to obtain of self-pride, the disease is still has still penetrated us so deeply. And I'm hoping that as we communicate, as we go about this presentation, we will see the ways of how this has happened. And also, anytime you present a problem, it only makes sense to also present possible solutions. You understand? A medic doesn't want to just explain to you the nature of the illness, but also possible solutions, remedies to cure. What makes us who and what we are? When we are at our best, when we are at a state of peace, when we are most productive, what is natural to us? That would always be natural when not influenced, altered, or corrupted by any other race of people. Who are we? What does this mean? And what I'm asking you not to do right at this point in time is think scholastically for the moment. But I would rather you think intuitively, dig into who you are naturally. Put all words, any type of sound, phonetics that you may have learned along the way, whether it be through scripture, whether it be through philosophy, put it to a pause just for a moment and really try to reflect upon who you are. And at this point, you would be using your right brain. See, your right brain isn't dependent upon English words. You see, your right brain is actually where we're most inclined to be strong. We'll explore what is uniquely us. And what uniquely comes from us through our ways, our perspectives, our spiritual voice and attunement. What would be scholarly works of us? I'm not talking about scholarly works that we've built upon through their established institutions, albeit knowledge that they have hijacked from us, but it's gone through a filter system of their mind. And so, with that said, there's poison. There's poison there. And we failed for a hook, line, and barrel. Those ultraviolet lights cause cancer. Yeah, you see, yeah, let me go ahead and put that up here. It's a very strong point. A very strong point because we've literally believed them blind. We've believed in these people blindfoldedly, without question, without dispute, without challenge, without anything. But you know that the devil is a liar. I'm saying, how can you know that someone lies to you and yet at the same time accept whatever they continue to present to you in the state of being a liar? Do you think that somehow the devils will somehow um, demonstrate mercy to you, or demonstrate a liking for you, or a tolerance? But a devil wouldn't be a devil if he didn't plot and scheme. The devil wouldn't be a devil if he didn't plot and scheme. I was just looking at this quote here that is attributed to the late Nelson Mandela. He said, Learn to know yourself, to search realistically and regularly the processes of your own mind and feelings. And what I'm asking us to do is to try to regain the harness of our natural feats, our natural abilities, our natural qualities, and embrace them and see them as um, equal, if not better than any any other qualities that any other race might have. If you can say that one group of people uh, excel in a certain way, and you see them taking pride in their excellence, but here you are, and you've not only forgotten what you can do well, instinctively, naturally, but you've also become convinced that somehow this other man's way is best for you. This is your wake up call, family. So, bear with me here because I'm toggling this and that. Okay. So, how much of who we are today versus what we once were is not who we really are, but instead in the image of our oppressors? Let me say that again in case those in the back didn't hear well. How much of who we are today versus who we once were is not who we really are, but instead in the image or likeness of our oppressors? How do we authentically restore ourselves to our true nature? Just like we saw in the quote from attributed to Nelson Mandela. I believe it comes with the recognition of ourselves at its default. Our children, if you look at how they are treated in the public school systems, when they are intolerant to the methodology of the public school systems, and so they're considered to be slow or uh, having some type of behavioral handicaps. When the fact of the matter is, according to some people who've made this study, it's not that at all. But that's not their method of learning. That's not how they learn. I can remember even in my elementary days when the teacher took away the sheet of paper and brought out the colored blocks. For one thing, those colored blocks amazed me. I was like, wow, look at those colored blocks. That looks like it'll be a lot of fun. Mind you, I was like about maybe 6 years old, 7, 6 years old. I'm thinking those blocks. In fact, I gotta tell you a story real quick about those blocks. It just hit me. I saw them blocks in the school cabinet one day in the classroom. I liked those blocks a lot. They were these long, slender blocks of different colors: red, blue, green, yellow. I liked those blocks, and I was like, it'd be nice to have those blocks. So somehow those blocks ended up home with me. But as soon as I got in the door, and it surprised the heck out of me. As soon as I got into the door, my folks, they wanted to look in that backpack of that book bag of mine. The parent or the guardian of the time said, let me see your book bag." I'm like, how did he? In my mind, I'm like, how did he know? How did he know? So They took the book bag, opened up the book. And what do you think was inside that book bag? It was those colored blocks. Yeah. And I was gonna, figure out what I could do with them once I got home. That was the plan anyway, but as you see, that's how it worked out. Hard lesson learned in the course. The little me, got the disciplinary treatment, the leathery disciplinary treatment. So anyway, my point is that when they broke out those blocks, the whole concept of math was like that. It's like what was being what they were trying to explain with the 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 uh the written numbers, seeing the blocks, it was all like that. Then what the teacher did is they brought out a piece of paper that had the same images of the blocks on the paper and then associated them with numerical values in the form of the number system. And then it all made sense. And from then on, it was like, an association. So as I got older, you understand, as I got older, I was able to really not only identify number values in everything that I'd see, from buildings, from buses, from automobiles, you name it. The symbols weren't necessary. It was the imagery, the shapes, sounds, sights, all that became a way of interpreting numerical value. Even music, even music. The difference between a 4/4 beat versus a 16/16 beat. You know, that's the hip hop beat. The 16, that's a hip hop beat. So, and it, you got like a 1/2 beat. Anyway, being able to hear that and see that and even sense it in other ways, numerical values, without ever seeing the numbers written down anywhere, without ever seeing anything written anywhere. What I'm trying to break down to you is when I was allowed to resort to my default um, nature, I excelled in the subject matter. Math is important. The method of learning it is not going to be the same. You understand? Between the way they would have it and the way that's natural for us. And many of our children, even to this day, are having the challenge of their lifetime because parents are incapable of seeing our our nature of being right-brained. We're inclined to be right-brained, and that means, in other words, the right brain is more to do with an abstract sense. And I'm hoping that we can break down what that's all about in some point in time as well. Because I think that's important when it comes to us developing ourselves and developing the tools. Because one of the things that I adamantly believe that we need to do is restore a sense of scholarship, restore a sense of professional levels that are associated with our nature and not theirs, that fits us. It's not a one size fits all situation. This, you know, you don't expect a zebra to do what a gazelle does. They're two completely different creatures with two completely different operations. In fact, they don't even eat the same exact plants. You understand? They're completely different. So their nature is different. In the human in humanity, all races are not the same. Let me ask you, whoever told us that we're all the same anyway? Did that ever come? Where'd that come from? Did that come from Messiah Yeshua? Did he say that he came to prophesy to all races, to all peoples of the world, or was he selective? Was he selective? I'm just, if he wasn't, it should be in the scripture somewhere, right? But the last I checked, he came for the house of Israel, the children of Israel, the lost sheep of Israel. So that sounds pretty selective to me. See, it's not the problem of being different. It's not something that's difficult to accept at all, that we're different. It's being able to acknowledge the benefits of being different and not harming somebody because of their difference, or not being subjected to being harmed because you're different. We're not all the same. So again, I believe it comes to the recognition of ourselves at its default, the way we are naturally, without any intervention from anybody else, with any 2 cents from them. See, one of the things about these Caucasians, and this is not to belittle them per se, but it is something that they need to check and look within themselves and analyze themselves when it comes to their dealings with everyone else in the world. Everyone doesn't need to operate like you. You are not the standard of existing. The way you are, the way you operate, your customs, cultures, ways, your ideas, they're yours. And it doesn't mean that you should assume that everyone else in the world must be operating in accordance to the same way. That right there is a false assumption. And that right there is a form of oppression. You go to one land and immediately you're looking for something similar to the systems you have at your home. Well, every civilization has this and has no, that's you that say that. That's you that have this in your mind. Just like when you look into the cosmos, you're looking for a life as you know it, assuming that life is according to what you think you know. And that is, my uh, Caucasian friend, a great mistake to assume that everybody rocks the way you rock. Great mistake. And this is just, I don't even want to say it's half of the problem, but it's one of the issues that those who have an issue with you have. Peace and blessings. Salam alaikum, Sister Lorraine. Welcome. Mm. So the way to the answers of these matters becomes clear to many of us, or maybe not. But perhaps through the course of building in this way and seeking out a path that starts to allow us to build in accordance with our way, we might get those clear answers we were talking about. Could it be that our egos are too engrossed with and have been persuaded by the enticement of the devilish? What are those enticements? Even if we are aware of those, how much more is behind these? See, many of us, we notice the enticements of the devils, but even that is still part of the trick, to, to notice the enticements, while in reality, there's something more behind even all of that that your eye failed to meet. If we, especially if one can consider in these mere clouds of doubt blocking our eyes, often those very clouds conceal the real aim of the enemy, especially if we're not able to recognize those real dangers and the real issues that keep us under the tight chokehold of a deceiver. You know, either we're coerced compelled or forced into accepting these illusions and delusionments. Either you will accept what we've given you, what we what we allow you to partake in as entertainments, or we will beat you into it, or we will do it for you in other ways. This is what's being said basically. But the minute you start thinking in accordance with your nature, that has the possibility of posing a problem. Right before our very eyes, again and again, is the erection of false gods. And even the truth of this is even the truth of this is clouded in the mystery of deceptions of the normalcy of wickedness perpetuated and propagated by the devil. The truth or the reality of false gods has become so normalized that when I begin to break down some of these examples, many of them they may have completely we may not even have taken note to it because it becomes so normal, so customary, so um, familiar. That we've become numbed to these truths, making it making its way seemingly appear sincere, innocent, well-to-do, and the way things should be. This devil, moreover, keeping many in the darkness of what a false god is and how its effects on the mind of those unaware, attached fools, increases its real dangers to your very existence. You remember when I said at the beginning, I mentioned the senses, the smelling, the hearing, the touching, the sight, sounds, all that. All these things are a way into you. You consume food, you understand? You consume what you eat so that you can keep the body animate, so that you can keep on doing. But you take in the sights, you take in the sounds, you take in the senses, the smell. All these elements, they're meant to communicate something to you. Let me ask you the question again, family. Who told you? Who told you that it doesn't matter what race you are? Who told you that? Where'd this come from? I want to ask that again. Who told you it doesn't matter what race you come from? This isn't to belittle any other race, or this isn't some kind of, I'm better than you. You're. It's not that. But let me ask you: is there a difference between steel and cardboard? Is there a difference? Does it make a difference if you're going to use steel or cardboard? Does it make a difference? Similarly, does it make a difference between being melanated on this planet Earth with this environment and not so melanated? Does it make a difference? So if any of these can make a difference, you would say that they're not like this in vain. Then also you have to consider the nature of race. See, let me explain to you. There's a difference between being about your race and hating other people because of theirs. There's a difference. There's a big difference. When I'm speaking, what I'm speaking, it's not in the vein of hating any other race. It's about speaking the truth of what this is. I can't make your origin be something that it's not just because you don't like what it is. Or maybe that's not the case. Perhaps you just don't like that I'm the one telling it to you. You know that it's your that the thing is, folks know where the origin is. If they're going to be honest and truthful, you're going to know your origin because there's something about a nest that has remnants of what once was there. And the closer you get to any source, the closer you get to something where it's at its most potent, the more you know, likenesses are in that area. Um, Gotta ask this question: our ancestors, how come we don't hear reports about them necessarily exploring in the same way like they claim Christopher Columbus did? He was an explorer. He discovered America, right? Wrong. But why don't we hear this language attributed to us? The reason why, I need you to understand the difference between the nature of the minds. If you've been going to school and you've reached to the point where you're a senior, you know where all the particular classes are. You know what teachers are there probably. You know, you're familiar with a variety of things at that school. Now, if you're a freshman, you're going to need a little bit of help because you don't know your way around. You're not familiar with anything. You're like, well, where's the restroom at? Where's the cafeteria? Where's the gymnasium? Where's the art class at? Where's the drama class at? Where's it all at? Where do the people hang out at? I was told to go to the principal's office. Where is it at? That's what happens when you're new to the scene. You've got this desire to explore because you're trying to find a way around for your best interest. You understand? You don't want to find yourself in trouble, especially when you're trying to survive anyway. When you've got this this fear of life, a fear of the world, rather than an instinct of harmony with the world. There's a difference. This is the reason why you don't find many of our ancestors, I'm talking about the older generations, being explorers and discoverers because they were already aware. Listen to what I'm saying, family. They were already aware. You understand? And for something to be in you to do, you understand, there has to be a need. There has to be a value behind it. Why wasn't there a value behind exploring the world? Why didn't our ancestors say, where are we? What's going on? Why didn't our ancestors do that? Because they were already aware. You understand? They were already hip to life on Earth. And if you look at the the findings, such as what Brother Runoko Rashidi would explore, you find that we were already there. Not only were we already aware, but we were already there. So why would you explore what you're already aware of and you're there anyway? Like, hey, I want to explore America. Oh, honey, you're already in America. Although it's not called America, it's called whatever you're going to call it, whatever we called it. Um, but where did that line of thinking come from that race doesn't matter? Where did it come from? It sounds like a tool to me, an instrument to me, an instrument to keep you subjected and belittled. Did it come from a people who had been did did this concept of race, it doesn't matter what race you are, did this concept come from a people who had been oppressed because of their so-called race? Or did it come from a people who desired further control over said oppressed race and use this quote to nullify and make insignificant the importance of who you are and what you've lost? By seeing all this, by seeing all this as one and the same, everybody, we're all the same, brother. You lose the knowledge of what really made you unique in the first place. Because if you think you're them, why would you pursue any behaviors like you? That's natural to you because you think you're them. If a lion believes that it's a chicken, why would it ever think to not only roar, but to prowl around for prey? Why would it think to do that? The chickens aren't doing that. Aren't I a chicken? I should be looking for worms and grubs because that's what all the other chickens are doing. And the chickens keep telling me that, hey, brother, you're just like us. We're all the same. It doesn't matter what animal you are. We're all the same. Cluck, cluck. Right? Snap out of it. Once you have identified a liar, then it would only make sense to reevaluate everything you have been told by that liar. Only it's not as simple as many of us may want to think because we've got a lot of homework to do, family. When you've been lied to for 400 plus years, lied to and lied to and lied to, how can you ever think that in between time, in the meantime, that anywhere in there, they would say, hold time out. Okay, now we're going to tell you the truth. We care about you now. We didn't mean any of those things before. We don't what were we thinking? We enslaved you? Oh, oh, please forgive us. Forgive you? Well, that translates in the form of, well, let's see. You took something from us. You corrupted our thinking. You've deceived us. So if you really mean what you're saying, then it looks like we need some kind of recovery. But then we wake up and realize that part of it was just a dream, because that's not what devils do. Devils will never, ever, ever truly own up. If they do own up, it's a shenanigan. It's meant to further their deception and continue deceiving you into believing and accepting their false gods. But the devils will never let up. The pressure of their knees on your neck. They want your head to suffocate so much that how could you possibly reason, if not like you, not even like them? How could you possibly reason, family? I'm just asking questions here. Don't mind me. Just asking questions. Just trying to keep the light on. I'm just trying to make sure the light works. Culture, family. I want to blow that up real quick. I wanted you to see some of these words in this collage of words. See if I could blow that up. Can I blow that up somehow? I think I can. So if you know that we're not alike on one level, then you need to also realize that we're not alike on many other levels, including our minds. Our minds are not alike. Our bodies are not alike. Our minds are not alike. Our bodies don't have the same origin. Our minds don't have the same origin. And most definitely, our souls do not have the same origin. When we were fashioned, created by the Most High, understand the difference between being made, formed, and created. We were brought into existence when there was nothing. And again, this isn't a toot your horn type of situation, but I'm trying to break something down to you regarding what makes us different. We were created out of nothing but the malenated earth. We didn't have a mother or father at the beginning. And when we were fashioned this way, we were breathed in the essence, the breath, the soul into our being. and we became living. This is not the same origin. This is not the same origin. This is not the same origin as the Caucasian man. The Caucasian man reminds us as they pursue and explore, they came across the memories of their own origin. They came across knowledge through their linear way of research, as opposed to abstract way of research, which is actually our nature. We had a balance at one time, both linear and abstract. Our strength being the abstract. They ended up learning that they came from a beast known as the Neanderthal. That being one of the types of beasts, but that was their ancestry that dominated the regions in which they lived, the Neanderthal. But they came about when some amongst our ancestors interbred with the animal known as the Neanderthal. The humans interbred with the animal known as Neanderthal. And from the offspring of this came the people known as Caucasians. So what I'm saying here is, and I've got to add more to this, because those offspring, it took some time for them to become the Caucasian as you know them today. 6,000 years to be exact. The initial event, 60, 70, 80,000 years ago. So before that, there wasn't a single Caucasian on the face of this earth. There wasn't a single situation to where the human interbred with the Neanderthal. But in this case, after some time, they were, what I want to say, groomed or raised or brought up in such a way that they became a distinct people. Because for the first time on planet Earth, you had where two completely different species became one. Our ancestors, we were never more than one species. We've always been the same species that we've always been. We've always been what we've been. We were never an animal. We were never a bird. We were never a frog. We were always this human, made in the likeness of the Most High. Understand that. We were always this human. So in this particular case, you have something that we end up trying to rear in our likeness, meaning that we pass down to them or give to them something of our learnings. We'll deal with that because there's more. That's a whole other section that I want to. I don't want to jump to that section just yet. But let's deal with this culture. Let's look at this. Let me blow this up real quick. Let's look at this. Look at some of these words in this. Some of these words. You got nationality, ethnic, language, vision, folklore, race, community, nation, historical. Mm, do I see heritage in there anywhere? I don't know. Might be in there somewhere. Culture, family, culture. I was telling you the examples of like using animals, and I'll do that again. What makes a lion different from a tiger? What are the things that if a tiger were put in the same situation, would he operate the same way? Would he do the same things that the lion does, or would he keep on to his nature? A a tiger is an independent living feline, carnivorous feline. They don't live in herds, you understand, and they tend to live in wooded areas. These are some features of the lion, of the tiger. The lion, on the other hand, they live in herds. They're the only feline cat that has a bob tail. The only big cat that carnivorous cat that has a bob tail, a little bushy thing on the end. They live in not herds, but in prides. That's what you call them, prides. And usually the male lion has multiple mates. Well, in the case of the tiger, usually has one mate. Um, these are some of the natural features of each of these cats, respectively, notwithstanding their physical appearance. So not only do you have something that's you can see that they're clearly physically different, but their habitat, their habits, their ways, their culture, if you will, is also different. The way they live, the way they move, how they even hunt food, the type of food that they hunt. There are differences in these approaches. You got one that, generally speaking, hunts all by himself, versus one that lets the lionesses do it first, and if it gets too troublesome, then the lion will come out and give a hand, give a paw. Different behaviors. Now, if you can explore that in the world of the animals, what about the world of humanity? If there are these differences, these distinct features that repeat again and again and again from generation to generation to generation, lion, lion cub, lion cub, I'm telling you, if you get a lion cub right now and raise that lion up, he'll still be a lion. If you get a grizzly bear, the grizzly bear is not going to ever try to be a polar bear. It doesn't have the knack, it doesn't have the skill or the talent. It will continue to be and continue to move and operate in the way that a grizzly bear does. No matter what a zebra does, it will never be able to bounce flawlessly with finesse the way a gazelle does. See, it clearly does make a difference. You could be an animal that's similar to another animal, you understand? But it makes a difference. It makes a difference between being a turtle and a tortoise. And yet they have a similar uh, they have similarities. It makes a difference. Makes a difference, family. It makes a difference from being a gecko and a snake. It makes a difference. Similarly, we're different and we have different abilities, different functionalities, different nature. All of these words that you're seeing on the screen here are words that have been used in this language to deal with what people do, how people live, how people move. This is something that needs to be understood when we think about something here. Again, breaking away from the lies. Most of us have been brought up believing in life, believing in the world in accordance to Caucasian eyes. Our interpretation of the world around us in our generation, in our time, has been, we've had to translate it through Caucasian eyes and language. And so you can't expect you can't expect a rabbit to learn how to move fast and hop fast, or better yet, a cheetah to learn how to move fast from a turtle, because the turtle doesn't know how. It doesn't even have a reference point. It doesn't know how to think of the skill of moving fast. So how can it teach the cheetah how to move fast? It can't. And as far as the turtle's concerned, the cheetah shouldn't be moving fast in the first place. Why are you in such a rush? Says the turtle. Because I just have this desire. I got to move fast. It's just in me. It's who I am. I gotta go. And the turtle just don't get it no matter how hard, no matter how in his best efforts to be fast. He just doesn't get why the cheetah must move fast. Because he's not a cheetah. And a cheetah is not a turtle. The matter is plain to me, family. The tactic here is being able to break it down. So let me try. Got this word here, culture. Culture. A noun. As a noun, number one, the arts and other manifestations. Listen carefully. And again, this is a linear, left-brained meaning. I gave you a right-brain meaning just a minute ago with the lion and the cheetah and the turtle. I was talking to your right brain just then. But now let's deal with your left brain so you can be satisfied for now, because many of us have not harnessed we've not restored that in us, even though it's our nature. Many of us have tuned have toned out our right brain's method of communicating, have toned out the scholarship. Many of you may be even scholars and don't even know it because you've blocked out your right brain instincts, your natural instincts as a melanated black man and woman. Culture, the arts, and other manifestations of human intellect, intellectual achievements, regarded collectively, regarded as a whole. An example it gives, which is really a sorry example, 20th century popular culture. I think it could have done better than that. I'm thinking when you think of the elder and everybody gathering around, and the elder presents a story, and you hear the rhythm of the drums. Culture. It's what we do. I'm thinking of when we on the side step, and all of a sudden the brother gets a rhythm. Next thing you know, other brother starts dropping a flow. You understand? Maybe even someone's down there spinning around. Culture. Number two, the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. And here the example is Caribbean culture. It's also used in medical terminology or biological terminology as a verb, implying to maintain tissue cells, bacteria, etc., in conditions suitable for growth. Several investigators have attempted to culture biliary cells. You may not see it, but even in this, I see it being relevant to the matter here. Let me say it again. Maintain in conditions suitable for growth. It's talking here about tissue cells and bacteria, but I believe that could be equally applicable to a nation of people, that they are able to be cultured when we unify and when we are in our right environment. We are in when we are allowed to develop in accordance to our proper nature. Then we have the conditions suitable for growth. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Um, I was reading this article when I was going through notes and whatnot of this particular presentation. It was trying to break down the difference between heritage and culture, and it stood out to me because both of these elements are of that which has been taken from us, and it's just so interesting. You know, let me say real quick. I had been talking to a person, and when the matter of color came up, race, I should say, came up, they were like, they had the same line, that same Caucasian line of it doesn't matter what race you are. And I just listened to that statement. I said, that's a lie. I said, no, it's not, brother. I said, if it didn't matter, why would you mention it? You just made it matter if it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, you understand, then why are there those who feel like we should be a target to their aggression? Why is it that when you know about this, I don't hear you speak out about it? I don't hear you express the concern, distinct concern. How come it is that when we want to unify, it's a problem? It's it's a radical thing. But when you go to Chinatown, up in New York City, all kinds of Chinese uh, folks gathering together to do what they do, being pro-Chinese. Don't hear anybody raising the flag for that, do you? Or being, you see, you know, some of our Mexican friends gathering together. You see them at work. You see them all sitting there gathering together, eating their lunch, breaking bread together. Nobody says, "Oh, that's racist." See them right there? They're being racist. How is it that they're all together eating amongst themselves, excluding anybody else? They're not inviting the Caucasian guy over there. Why aren't they inviting the white guy? They gotta be racist. You don't hear them saying that, do you? You only hear this position being taken when it comes to the gathering of blackness, of melanatedness. You only hear it then. You don't hear it any other time. The difference between heritage and culture, according to this site, the difference between the two concepts may sound very similar to some people as they often mean the same thing, but they are different concepts used in a different context. Heritage relates to inheritance, meaning passing of the beliefs. Listen, this is important to point out because I'm trying to get you to understand exactly what we've been cut off from and why it's so important that we fight hard to restore ourselves so that we can get it back, or if I could say, get it forward. Heritage relates to the inheritance, meaning passing of the beliefs, objects, and culture from one generation to the next, like a tradition. Culture is the way of life, knowledge, ideas, customs, laws, and habits of a group of people or society that they accept together as their core values. Hold on 1 second here. Culture is the values that defines a society. Both the terms are often used interchangeably, but the fundamental concept behind the two is very different. I just wanted to say this when it comes to both heritage and culture. Remember when I told you that our ancestors descended from the very creative formula of the Most High? We were brought into being directly from the Most High without any intervention, without any um, breaking off into us, becoming a species or something. Us, Most High. like that. What does that mean? It means that our whole essence of what we are started there. Everything when it comes to culture, when it comes to our heritage, everything, our language, everything from the Most High. The knowledge of who we are, the knowledge of how to be, how to walk the earth, how to move about the land. We had something very sacred and very special, and the very one who some of our ancestors spent 6,000 years rearing up to be civilized. We find ourselves in their hands, under their knees, oppressed, being having been stripped of everything that we once had, except for the basic core. And even that is strange and foreign to us. How can I say so? Look at our brothers and sisters. Look at the mess that we put onto our body to make our appearance look like the enemy in some way, somehow. Look at how we despise the way we look. Look at how we despise our appearance. And it's not just our appearance that we despise. We despise anything that comes from our nature. We will make fun of it. We'll talk and crack jokes about it because we've been taught to despise who and what we are. And there's another factor here. To me, is also important. The use of foreign language. This is another hindrance to our approach to regaining knowledge of self, regaining a restoration act of being who we are naturally. This language becomes an obstacle. It becomes a form of deception. And just because we may think we speak it well does not change the fact that it's still foreign to us. It's not from us. Remember, we when we were brought into being, here's the thing you got to understand. We didn't start off, our ancestors did not start off scratching the earth dumb, deaf, and blind. We didn't start off this way. We started off enlightened with the knowledge, the presence, and even the grace of the Most High. That's how we began in this world. When you hear about ones like Messiah Yeshua, Jesus, Isa, walking water, what if I were to tell you that he wasn't doing something that was exclusive to him? He was demonstrating your natural, what you do. He was like, this is what we do. This is how we operate. This is the moves we can make. And you could do more. And even in that particular story, you had one of his followers just about doing that until he realized that he was doing that. Then he sunk. But what did he realize? What made his realization sink him into the waters? Because he started thinking like the Romans again. He started thinking like his oppressors. He started thinking that, well, the oppressors we've been living under, they don't do this. How am I doing this? How is it possible that I'm doing what you're doing? How are you doing what you're doing? I'm doing what I'm doing because this is what we do. This is us. They didn't come to put themselves on a pedestal. That wasn't the purpose for This messianic one, to put himself on a pedestal. They didn't come to be distinct, but remember, these ones said you're their brothers. When you're someone's brother or sister, that means you're relative. That means whatever they are is what you are. I believe it's in the book of Psalms that calls us children of the Most High. It says, I say you are gods, children of the Most High. Now, I know that some people have done all kinds of stuff with that, but we're going to explore the usages of these words anyway and get to the top of this, or the essence of this, or the inner of this, or the outer of this. We want to get there, inshallah. But understanding how much we've lost when we've become so tone deaf to the voice of the Most High. You know what? I want to show you how simple it is to communicate to the Most High. And then I'm going to show you how quick we are to belittle the effort. Because it's something that's really unique with us. And how do I know it's unique with us? Because when you see the world and this particular feat is dominated by us being the ones doing it, it's one of our, abilities. But what if I told you that your imagination is the most simplest, easiest way to commune with the Most High? What if I told you that this there's divine communication in there? Unfortunately, many of us, we've corrupted it with so many different obstacles and things that are completely irrelevant to our development, and so our imagination becomes clouded. Yeah, I know somebody's in the back of the class laughing. Oh, he said the imagination is the communication with the Most High. Yes. Do you see how you belittle that? Do you see how you belittle? Do you think it's complicated to communicate with the Most High, who you have within your very nature, the breath, the soul, the person's breath, the presence. I meant the presence, all through and through and through you, and you think that somehow it can't be that simple. How could it be so simple? How could it be so easy? How could it be that way? It's got to be something else. And yet, your imagination is screaming at you every day, warning you about this, inspiring you about that, belittling you about the other. And when you pay attention to it, every time, when you pay attention to the Most High, every time, you always seem to find yourself in the right place in the right time. And every time you ignore it, every time you ignore this channel of communication, you find yourself in a conflict of interest, out of sync. You ever had those moments where an entire song is right there for you to write? The whole song, the instruments, what music goes with it, the whole song, every single letter, or a whole design, a whole painting. It's all there. Boom. You see it. You see every bit of it. Why do you think we could do this? Why do you think we have these imaginative faculties? Why do you think we dream? Why do you think we can do this on this planet Earth, in this existence, this celestial existence, on Earth as it is in heaven? Why do you think we could do this? Why do you let them sit there and strip us away from our abilities? Why do we keep on taking in their lies? or they make us feel that these things are irrelevant. These things are somehow a non-factor. They don't play any part. These are dust dwellers, family. Their whole life depends on what they can dig up the earth, the riches of the earth. Without that, they don't have anything else to live for. I'd be kind of PO'd and bored too. I'd be kind of, trying to find a way out and destroy it too. That's um. Here's what's funny. Think about this. Oh man, our ancestors were talking about what later became translated as the Orion Galaxy, for example. These people are trying to figure out how to get to Mars. I'm just saying, family. Because that's all they see is life as they know it. Close your eyes for a minute and you're going to see so much more. Life as we once knew it and can still know. These faculties, these abilities, all these things, they're right before our very eyes. They're all with us. And I know it seems so simple, so basic. Communication with the Most High. But the reason why that is because we've been led astray, family. We've been made to believe in false gods. We've been made to worship false gods. We've been led and deceived into bowing to false gods. And in so doing, we've lost our way. And the the features of our way start to become small and pale in comparison to the way that we've been deceived with. And we see the ways we've been deceived with higher, greater, more profounding, more glamorous. This is the way deception works. So deep in this madness. It's a wonder how any of us are ever going to see out of this. And even there are those who see, but they're still so attached. But it's like being on a boat and you can see land, but you're still so attached to that fishing hook of whatever you think you've got connected to to the other end of the line, that you're not interested in getting to that land where your salvation could be. It's real, family. It's real. You are real. I am real. We are real. We need to understand that and identify with what makes us different. What makes us, who are we? What are we? What are we doing here? And the thing is, family, is even the devils know there's a time limit. There's a time limit. The difference between the time limit for a devil and the people of the Most High, the difference between that time limit is when our time runs out, we lose what we could have had if we strove in the right direction. The devil doesn't get it either way. So their time running out is simply time before they get their divine butt kicked, or the butt kicked by the divine kicking, whatever. The time is different. I mean, it's the difference between one approaching impending um, punishment, if you would, versus one entering the kingdom of the Most High. Big difference. So, about these false gods. I was talking about these false gods, right? About these false gods. Many of us When we hear about this term, false gods, chances are you probably get some kind of image in your head that looks something like this right here. You see, this the Caucasian Moses and this golden calf on this altar and mixed truths and lies. But more where the lie is is many of our inability to understand imagery, sight and sound, and how that affects the mind. You understand the imagery. Even this whole entire picture that you see right here is nothing but lies, lies, lies. There's nothing true about this painting at all. There's nothing, I'm going to say it again. There's nothing true about that painting right there. From top to bottom, from right to left, there's nothing true about that painting right there. What if I told you that? Is that how could that be possible? Because there's somebody in the back of the class. Well, it's just because there's white people there. One of the things I want us to explore is the way we used to communicate and what it meant for us in the methodologies of our communication versus the foolery that we communicate in today's time. How did this happen to us, family? Let's explore. We're explorers now. Why are we explorers now? Because many of us just don't know anymore. And like I said, the the desire to explore is when you're confused, you don't know where you are. So you got to explore, you got to discover, you got to do all this Voyager stuff because you've forgotten your way. You've lost your way. We've lost our way. And instead, these paths that lead to these false gods become the way that we've embraced. Even if you were to consider that this picture right here has some relevance or truth, guess what? You've just taken on a false god, perhaps unknowingly. Like I said, a lie is a lie is a lie. A devil has no intention of telling you any kind of truth. And even that one speck of truth, that one glimmer of truth is virtually incidental. Because the thing about life is that ultimately the truth of the Most High will prevail. So even a devil has to surrender to the truth every now and then. Even a devil must submit to the truth every now and then. That's all. That's the only reason why. It's incidental. It's not because the devil cares about you. Well, I'll give you just one truth. I'll be a little bit nice to you. I'll give you one truth out of all the lies I'm telling you. I'll just give you one. Understand what I'm saying, family. Am I saying to you that the story of Moshe, Musa, Moses is false? It's not what I'm saying. This painting right here is not the story of Moses. You were told that this is the painting of the story of Moses. None of Moses is not anywhere in the painting. None of these features or any of the behaviors that any of the people of the children of Israel would have demonstrated to behave like. None of this is anything to do with anything. It's all lies. If something comes from a devil, best believe is going to be a lie. A lie yesterday, a lie today, a lie tomorrow, a lie in front of you, a lie to the right, left, up, down, below, wherever the devil comes, they're going to come lying. They're not going to tell you truth, except that incidental truth. And if you're conscious enough, you'll be able to see that stand out because it'll stand out like a sore thumb. That's the thing about truth versus hypocrisy, lies, and all that. The truth stands out like a sore thumb. This is clearly distinct from the way of error. I'm just looking at this. So the image altogether, the whole entire image from corner to corner to corner to corner, it's all for many people, it's a false god. It's become a false god. The minute people see this, they believe there's something relevant there, something referential, something that is valid in some way, or something that depicts something that's valid in some way. The whole entire image is a false god. The whole painting, false god. But the reason why I showed this particular painting is because when I mention the word false gods, something like this, generally speaking, usually pops up into our heads. And so the real meaning of false god eludes us yet and still. When we fall into this snare, we don't see the bigger picture. We don't see the real false gods that are placed before thee. Gotta take a moment to reflect. This will not necessarily this particular subject matter is not simply or necessarily about um and you might observe this through the course of what I've been saying. I'm not here debating on whether or not the God is. You understand? For me, I'm not debating about that. This isn't a conversation disputing whether the God is, except, where in my talk it might be reference points, that I might need to refer, to this as valid. The, Let me say it this way. There may be points in the conversation where I will have to bring this up as a point of reference. Instead, what we're concerned with specifically here is the matter of the false gods. As for the God, there are those who believe in it, those who know of it, and there are those who reject this knowledge altogether, or some perhaps in part, if that be possible at all. As for me, anybody that knows Brother Abdul Wadud, my default position is that the God is. And so, with that being said, I will not, bite my tongue when speaking on related matters that may require me to say something referencing the God, regardless of the translation, regardless of the wordage that I use. My meaning, speaking with the voice of an abstract speaker, an abstract scholar, is going to be pointed and very plain for any ear, to grasp, to understand. Any attribute that I say, any of the various names that I'm familiar with, that many of you might be familiar with. And I don't say this out of ignorance or arrogance. Rather, I don't say it out of arrogance. I'm not speaking in like, haha, I'm going to speak it anyway. But I'm saying it out of principle. It's a principle for me. You speak what's in accordance with who you are, your nature, what you are, why you are. You speak in that lane, in that vein, in that path. So it wouldn't make any sense for me to bite my tongue or to not speak what I would speak, because there may be some in the room who say, "Well, brother, I don't believe what you believe." Well, I mean, I'm not asking you to believe what I believe either. Um, I'm not even, you know, that's not what I would do. I'm not going to ask you to believe. There's a for me there's a importance in knowing something and becoming aware of something versus simply believing in something. It's two different areas there. So as for the false gods, I believe the word itself has been taken for granted in our times. The very word is false god. And as I mentioned, it's become taken so lightly, so much so that I'm afraid that many of us would not recognize the true nature of what is meant by the idea of a false god. Even during the course of this presentation, I can well imagine that many will jump to conclusions as to the end game point of this conversation, this presentation, or this discussion, subject matter. But in reality, most likely they'll completely miss it by a long shot. However, with patience and proper reflection on each detail, as I said, you should take notes. I believe we'll be able to open up a lane of perspectives that might shake our minds up a bit. Man. So what I'm going to do at this point, I just want to show you this image right here to give you a kind of a starting point of what I intend for the next part of this live, the making of false gods, and hopefully I'll be able to. There we go. We'll be able to build on this. What you see in this image is an AI android, an AI robot. Don't jump to conclusions, though, family, because I haven't talked about it yet. But when I do talk about it, we'll build on what it is that we're seeing and so much more. I mean, I've hardly scratched the surface. Maybe I scratched it a little bit of the nature of this conversation. Um, there are those of us who are compelled to rise up amongst us in joining the right, forbidding the wrong, speaking a word to the right, speaking a word to truth. And sometimes it may be an inconvenient truth. You understand? An inconvenient truth, something that we may not be comfortable with. Because, see, the thing about arrogance is it makes us comfortable. It makes us comfortable with how we are, what we're doing, what we think we know. It makes us comfortable. There's nothing we can know to improve. And I often, ask people. I say, well, if there's nothing that anybody can say to you, then where's the learning coming from? How are you progressing in learning? And some people will point to a book, and no disrespect to any of our books, our scriptures, but I'm saying this in the mentality of how they point. You just point to a book. I said, well, that's not telling me anything. That's not telling me how you are pursuing knowledge. It's telling me what you're reading, but it's not telling me what you're knowing. So this is I mean, the thing about this, family, is being able to communicate this effectively so that the points that need to be made are made well and clear, not just for your enjoyment or your listening enjoyment, so to speak, where you say, oh, well, this is a good talk, but for us to move accordingly, to operate accordingly. So I've got a challenge. I've got a challenge, a bit of a challenge. And let me break it down to you. First, let me give you a bit of a rough meaning of what this word is about. Abstract reasoning. And I'm gonna bring this word up again, perhaps in the course of these parts of this series, if you would. Abstract reasoning is most closely related to fluid intelligence, our ability to quickly reason with information to solve new, unfamiliar problems, independent of any prior knowledge. It includes lateral and flexible thinking, logical reasoning, and generating solutions beyond the most obvious. That's their definition. If we explore words such as this or ideal words like this, um, intuition's going to come into mind as well. It's and there's an error in this definition. It might be so for them, but the error is going to be the mention of familiarity of problems, the the idea that abstract reasoning, like one definition put it as, you know, basically operating without knowledge, without knowing, without um but what it seems to be that they're referring to is scholastic knowing, meaning you didn't read about it in a book. You didn't go to high school for this awareness. The reason why they communicate this way is because when you're devoid of the spirit of the Most High, it would seem to the onlooker, devoid of the Most High, that the one who's endowed with the enlightenment of the Most High is communicating or speaking without knowledge. I didn't see him go to school. He doesn't have an award or certificate or a diploma. So how is he talking like he's talking? I know what it is. It's abstract reasoning. Let's give it a name. I know what it is. But yet again, that's yet another example of what it's like to hear the words of people who are not acquainted with or not able to connect with features they do not have. Turtle looking at the cheetah, trying to understand how he can move the way he does. How does he do that? Oh, I know. He's just doing what I do, but faster. But wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. Ah, never mind. But that's what I see through this definition. It's lousy. It's a lousy definition, and I'm using my right brain to challenge it. I'm using my abstract mm, uh, thought to challenge it. Many of you are scholars that don't even know it. Yeah, because we've toned out the ability to use abstract reasoning. Yeah, here's another definition: the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. See, there they go again. There they go again. They're at it again. It's not devoid of consciousness. That's the whole thing that's backing up the abstract reasoning is consciousness. That's what's giving you the ability to do it. Is awareness, consciousness, not consciousness as a, a person who's dependent upon scholastic research, meaning he's got to open up a book and read it somehow. It's got to be read in English letters and in paragraphs and sentences. And without that, he just doesn't get it. So when one does get it and hasn't flipped through the pages of English literature, then He must be doing it without conscious reasoning. False. 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 He's conscious. He has conscious reasoning. He has conscious reasoning. Just again, not in the manner that one who's not in, if you would, who's not in, if you will, the divine sea of consciousness. It's a whole different lane, a whole different reality, a whole different way to perceive the world, the real way to perceive the world. Um, I guarantee you, family, that if you were to pay attention to every single dream you had, every single inspiration you had, every single intuitive moment you had, even your daydreams, pay attention to them in detail, that you would be able to live your entire life and you would always be where you belong. You would always have exactly what you have. It makes me think of the man who had a dream to dig up the ground, and he dug up the ground, and there was like some money or something there, and he becoming very wealthy. This was an ancient story. This is a recent time story. He dreamed of certain events, and boom. Why does that sound strange? Because of the people telling the story. To them, this is a miracle. It's a miracle. How did he do that? It's a miracle because they don't get it. They're not able to connect to that. And even when the Most High does grant, some amongst them some degree of insight, many of them they fail to appreciate. You understand? To appreciate. And I say that because right now in this land called the United States of America lives a population of blessings from the Most High. Unfortunately, out of their greed, out of their arrogance, out of their false pride, out of their racism, they didn't understand what to do with the blessings that they had. They oppressed these blessings that they had. They abused, raped, slaughtered these blessings. They manipulated, deceived, lied to, broken, divided, and conquered these blessings. And you know what happens after some time of misusing blessings? There's a polarity here. They revert to curses. They become curses instead of blessings. Those blessings, dear brothers and sisters, are the melanated, the black man and woman that live here in the United States. Now, here's those for the listening ears amongst the Caucasian peoples. It doesn't have to be a curse. It could be at this point, since the blessing element is kind of, you kind of miss that bus. Um, but atonement, an opportunity for atonement. Imagine being able to have atonement in such a way that the possibility for the very thing that right now, as it stands, evades you. And what evades you? Being able to ascend into the kingdom of the Most High. Yeah, there are some amongst you who are devout, who attend your churches and whatnot in your in the mosque. The Quran identifies them, for example, tells us that from amongst them there are those who, you know, who are whose hearts they have mercy and they're compassionate. Speaks about those from amongst you, but the most of you aren't like that. The most of you aren't like that. So I'm not saying it's hopeless, but the way you're rocking these days, it leaves a lot to wonder. It leaves a lot to, it leaves a lot. And so, family, I would, I would like us to turn our attention and focus on and get back into our lane. You understand? And the challenge would be to go an entire month relying solely upon abstract reasoning. Now, how is this possible? After you've done written and taken notes of this in each of our lives that we do this, I would encourage you to take notes. But I'm going to encourage you to take notes in a certain way. Don't just take any note. Don't just write anything down. He said this, he said that. But I want you to tap in to prose. Many amongst our ancestors could flow. So tap into to prose. What am I saying? Can you translate that into our language? Can you translate? I know we still got to use the Roman characters, the English wordage, but can you find the formula, the right mixture, the right compilation of words to respond to this challenge with? An entire month using only the abstract reasoning. Anytime the opportunity comes to read something that's got words spelled out, never mind that. Translate that. Find a way to translate that into an abstract idea. You do it every day. How many of you guys drive? Every day you're doing this, family. Every day. Every time if you drive to go to work, every block, every other block or whatever, you're doing it. Every time you look up at them lights, abstract reasoning. It's not complicated. See, people like to make it seem like that proper ways or ways that reach enlightenment or ways that reach, uh, divine learning is out of reach, is beyond, is you got to climb a mountain somewhere to get it. You got to, find an old man in the deep, dark cave of the tallest mountain at the highest step across the rope bridge up another mountain to meet this guy. In a sense, that could be true, but it's not in that way. Even that way, I'm speaking with the abstract mind. Somebody else would hear this that doesn't have the capability, and they would think I'm saying something extreme. They would expect something extreme. When many of the holy ones, the saints, sages, adepts appeared, they learned some of these traits and began to demonstrate them so well that people were astonished. Like, how are you doing this and you live a simple life? We don't even know you to have wealth, but you moving around the planet like you, the richest person around. How is this possible? So, family, I'm going to put this in here, this invite, for any would-be questions or comments of today's live presentation, this part anyway. Um, the only thing I would encourage is to try to keep it relevant to what's been said thus far. so that way we can stay on track, keep it relevant. Um, and I'm not, the type of person who's too proud to not know, to say, hey, I don't know the answer to that question. Sorry, next one. And at the same time, you know, I'm not too low to where, you know, uh, where I wouldn't be capable of speaking my mind. You understand? Um, the things that I tend to speak about, especially the heart of it, I don't have any doubts about them anyway. So it's always easy for me to orate or whatnot. You know, what's on what I've got to say when it comes to certain questions being asked. Um, and what's interesting is that most of the time when I talk to folks on the outs, I don't carry any books with me. I don't have any. I'm not like a bunch of books and all this other stuff. There, whatever is there is with me anyway. Um, I'm an adamant acceptor of instructions included. That when you come into being, you have in your default the information. You understand that if you observe it, if you pay attention to it, you are guided rightly. At your beginning stage, the first way that you were able to deal with this is with your parents. Is with your parents, your guardians, your elders. And if you don't even have them, a lot of times it may come from even observing elders. You understand? In what they do. Your first encounter. Um, Now here's the thing. I'm gonna do this also because you may not realize it, but this live is also being shown right now, right before your very eyes. Soul Journey of Life. It's live right there. So I'm just putting that there in case you're of those who say, "Oh, I support black-owned businesses." I support black-owned businesses. Well, let's see about that, right? Because right now I am live on Soul Journey of Life. hmm let's see here. Yep. Anyway, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Or if you don't want to click the panel there, you can you can put it in the commentary. I want to show you something here. If I can get it up here, get this showing. Let's see here. Uh, Something that I thought was pretty interesting when it comes to how we communicate, how we deal with learning in our experiences with the world around us. I want you to, if you can, listen to how this brother communicates what he's talking about. Let's see if I can. I might have to do this. Yeah. So let's see. Gotta enlarge it. Yep. Where's it at? There it is. All right. So I can share the screen. Listen, not just to his content. His content is pretty insightful too, but listen. I want you to listen to how he speaks. You understand? Listen to the way that he's, you know, presenting what he's talking about.
There are other worlds besides ours. There are other worlds beside our Mother Earth, upon which life exists. The Africans even went on to describe 14 of these worlds. The first encounter between Africans and extraterrestrial beings occurred more than 7,000 years ago in a now forgotten part of Africa.
The Anunnaki is black. Black people have the capacity of a lot of power if activated. That's why other races fear them. Hence why it takes 10 cops to one black man. They stole our history and used it against us and taught us BS. Just know the higher Anunnaki are here, right now. We taking back our rightful place, but they do have disagreeable Anunnaki.
It hasn't gotten out quickly, which I've been talking about it for a couple of years now. It just really hasn't gotten out there. Because I don't think people.
I can see that. But I wanted you to hear the elder that was talking at the beginning. And you can play that back on when you get a chance on this YouTube. But the way he was talking, the way he was communicating, was on the vehicle of abstract knowledge, of abstract reasoning. You understand? Um, he was communicating in a way that if we, look, we find that it's in sync with the way our ancestors communicated. I'm not just talking about what, like I said, it's not the content itself; it's the way that he's presenting the content, and even the way he's saying, given the symbolisms that he's using in that conversation, in that talk. You understand? Is similar. And if you listen, like if you listen with an open mind, it could have the similar effect of that way of communicating. I mean, this is the reason why I keep on encouraging us to really start resourcing our own scholarship, start resourcing our own people of learning. You understand? Don't become offended by our way of English words. There's some people who may not speak English um, all that well. You understand? Maybe they might speak it with a bit of a slang or something. Never mind any of that. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to with a right brain side. What are they saying? What's the word that they're saying? I was listening yesterday, I believe yesterday, to Tupac's song "F the World." I'm omitting a word there. He said "F the world" in the song, but I'm listening to the words of the song, and in principle, the words, for the most part, they're valid when it comes to a certain mindset towards what's going on in our time. I was like, what he's saying is valid. You can get caught up in the language, but you got to remember, we're speaking a foreign language anyway. So what do you expect? We're speaking a foreign language anyway. I remember I asked one person, do they have any like uh quote unquote bad words in their language? I'm talking about, the languages in the motherland. And what we identify as bad words here, you understand, that meaning is different there. It's more or less just them saying things that are meant to degrade someone or hurt someone's feelings or belittle someone. But the word in and of itself is like just a standard part of their language. It's part of how they talk. Is not like an exclusive word that's designed, you know, for the purpose. And even when you think about it, the words in the English language that are used, they're simply skewed versions of another word or another combinations of words. And so even then, it doesn't always add up or make sense to the word that they intend to use. So this, like I said, we're speaking a foreign language. We're speaking. This isn't us. This isn't us right here. Every time you look in the mirror and you hear yourself talking these words, you should be looking at it like I ain't even talking my. I ain't even my. I'm not even talking my language right now. I'm speaking a foreign language. We know this foreign language very well, but how well do you know your native tongue? How well do you know your native tongue, family? How well do you know your native tongue? How well can you speak your native language? We know this foreign tongue. Can you imagine somebody that'd be like you know, you know, and there's probably some examples like this somewhere. Someone from China who knows English better than I can't think of the name of the Chinese language. There's a term for a name for it they have. But he would, his peers would see him as kind of a unique person, maybe even odd. Like how are you one of us, but you don't even know our language, you know someone else's language more than you know your natural language. This is a foreign language, family. This is a foreign language. All these words that we're seeing in this chat's all foreign. It's all foreign words. Anything that's not your mother tongue is foreign language. Anything that's not your from your heritage of spoken words, foreign language. So, family, I'm giving just a little bit more time for anybody that would desire to come on in and communicate with a brother. And after that, we're going to go ahead and call it an episode or call it a series, whatever you call that series, episode. Call it one of those. So that's why I don't get too fancy with correcting people's English language too much anymore, unless for business purposes. And I say that because brothers and sisters, we got to make a living. So I don't want to encourage no brother to to jump out there speaking some foolery, and his job is on the line. So I'm going to say, look, this is what you say, this is how you say it. You learn a language to be able to work your way through their mess. Like I said, this is a mess of a mess that we're in dealing with these folks. And and all I can say is, folks want that I'm not talking in this way. Then the way to the righteous way to resolve it would be to leave us alone and let us have our own. Leave us be. But like I said, I don't ever read any stories about a devil being anybody's friend. I'm still looking for a page in the Quran on that, or the Bible, or any book where the devil was some righteous person's friend per se. I know somebody's gonna, there may be. I can give you the exception of what King Solomon. He had a few devils that. But the difference between that situation, that story, is they were in a position of slavehood. They weren't just rocking with him like they were his equals or something. They were slaves. So yeah, they were, but they were some of his servants. It's about King Solomon in that story, and then that's based upon the way that's explained in that way, based upon the wording that is given in that story. More can be said. So, family, um, yeah, I'm right there on Soul Journey of Life. Anyway, so with that said, family, I believe that gives us an opportunity to draw this to a close. I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe this live. It definitely was a task putting this together. You know, if you haven't noticed, I even, say, hey, why don't, since I've done all this, why don't I go ahead and just redesign the whole way, this presentation is going to look to the family. And so that took time all by itself. The animations, all these things took some time, but it's all for a cause, and that's what I'm about. So let's see here. Yes, indeed. Salute to the family. Salute to all those striving hard to do the right thing and standing up. All those that have been putting their lives on the line. This is what it is, family. All those keeping it real. What is this right here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I've been trying to just see ways to improve the appearance, the sound quality, um, all that. So that way you can have a better experience when you come and watch these lives. That's the idea anyway. So family, that's going to be all from me for the time being. And, I look forward to being able to continue this particular topic right here because, like I said, I believe it's something very, very important for us to be able to build on. I do appreciate any support that you could present forward because it helps a brother out with everything that I'm trying to do, including the operations going on here for the platform in general, and just your basic run of the mill things. The support really helps out, and even in trying times, sometimes uh, your support can make all the difference. That's what I'm going to say about that. So definitely salute to all those who've been supporting, who've been showing support. Um, Cash App, what have you. Salute to all those. And as you see, I put that little percentage there. That's showing you um, the amount of subscribing going on, viewers and all that. I thought that was something interesting to put up there. Anyway, it is what it is, family. This is your brother, Abdul Wadud, aka Questman, bringing to you live with today's presentation, The Making of False Gods. Let's see here. I appreciate all the family that came into this live. Yes, indeed, all familiar names here. Salute, peace and peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. Shalom. Hotep, peace and blessings be with you. And with that said, y'all have a blessed night and stay keeping the light on. We got work to do, family. We really, really got work to do. Have a blessed day or a blessed time.
Welcome to your wake-up call. Soul Journey of Life, Conscious Black Social Media. the light dome.